the Enigma machine, the final video tutorial on it. I've done 2 video tutorials, and I must say it's been a hell of a lot of fun working on this. So I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I learned a huge amount on the power of Excel and obviously the power of the Enigma machine. So combining the two made for some great work, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, as I said. So we've done the 2, and this will be, as I said, the last video tutorial on the Enigma machine per se. And specifically in this video, we're going to look at encrypting a full word. So when these video machines, it's just basic videos. It was basically about setting it up, how it works, and encrypting a single letter. Now we're going to put a whole word in it, and let's see what happens. Okay, so before that, please like and subscribe, share the video tutorial videos, share my channel. Let's support it, please. It does mean a world. Yeah, so with that said, let's go and play around a bit with the Enigma machine. So I've generated, okay, so remember, this should look familiar. This is basically the simulation page or the simulation sheet of the Enigma machine that replicates the machine itself. Just again, let me just make it a little bit bigger. Let me just for quick reference again. The keyboard letters, the rotors. Remember the rotors, they had 5 rotors. And so every night, 12 o'clock, they had to make a rotor selection for that specific 24 hours, where they're going to use, which 3 rotors they're going to use. I know in some latest versions of the Enigma machine, they actually had 4 rotors in the Enigma machine itself, and obviously that made it even more complex. But anyway, so there's your rotors. And then each router has its internal wiring. And in Excel, we can obviously scramble this. We can keep on swapping and changing these wirings and stuff. There's our reflector wiring, 5 routers, reflector wiring. Remember, our reflector wiring has to be fully symmetric. Otherwise, the thing doesn't work. Believe me, it gave me nightmares. Trying to figure out that, but anyway, we found it. There's my plugboard. Again, the plugboard must be fully symmetric, otherwise it doesn't work. And then there's my tables for the selection and of the routers and the position of the routers, the starting position of each of the routers, and then the stepping of the routers as you enter a value and stuff. So there it is, the whole Enigma machine in short. Okay, all underpinned by some nice and interesting Excel's formulas. Yeah, so all set up, all ready to go. So what I then did is to build a dashboard. Okay, a dashboard to say, okay, if I encrypt a letter, a word, so my word would come in here in 27. So I would, for example, put in here hello world. Okay, so that would be the word that I want to encrypt. Now, in the Enigma machine, there is no spaces. So I've built a little formula here to say, okay, take that word and delete all the spaces. Take all the word, you see there's the spaces, take that space and make no spaces. So that's the normal add function. So if I add, for example, B and E here, and I want to concatenate, what's a nice word where you add these 2 things, concatenate, I can't remember now, but anyway, you're going to say equal, you're going to take this, and it's going to be add, and then that, and then if you want a space, you'll make a space, and then again, the curly brackets, and then add, and E. And you see, it is now added on contact, okay, it's added, but with a space. You'll see there's the space, it sits in there. So if I don't want a space, I can just close it and you'll see there's no space. Or if I want a comma in there, I can put a comma in there, whatever the case might be. So this is exactly what I'm doing here. I'm just, let me make it a bit bigger, sorry. I'm basically just, you can put in any word there or sentence. Good afternoon, Enigma. And you'll see it would basically take the sentence and just put it all in one word if you want to. Okay, so there it sits. So let's go back to hello world. Okay, so that's the first thing is we want to enter the word that we want to encrypt. And that word we just need to put into the way they would have encrypted Enigma. Okay. So that is, so I will then start with the first letter of my word. So in this case, hello word, I'll enter then a H. Nothing will still happen. I just need to make sure that the word there, the select the letter to encrypt there, is the same as the initial word in my sentence or my letter in my sentence. Okay, so that's important. Then obviously, when you start, all the rotors are at zero stepping mechanism. Okay, zero stepping mechanism. So that's important. And here is my plugboard. I can select my plugboard. In this case, I'm leaving my plugboard is, but I can change it here. But just remember always, it has to be symmetric, and that's why we've built in these checks just to make sure that it is indeed symmetric. Okay, but we're going to play around with it a bit later. Then my rotor selection. In this case, I've selected rotor 5, 1, and 3, and obviously the position of each rotor. So it's two things in one there. It's the rotors that I selection that I'm interested, and then the rotor position that I'm interested. I can swap them. As I said, it's all drop-down boxes, so I can swap them. Obviously, you can't have the same rotor twice, etc., etc. So I just check that, but that's fairly straight. And then the starting position of each rotor, given its internal wirings. Okay, so in this case, given no steps, given my plugboard, given my rotor selection and rotor position, and each rotor's initial position, H will encrypt to P. Okay, but as I said, I don't want to encrypt just a single letter. I want to encrypt the full word. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, by running a macro in Excel itself. And here is the macro itself, or the little script, etc. So, what is the input cell? It's B3. Okay, so that's where it will now run. Okay, so it will run in B3. So that is where the hello word will then run into this. So this will now change from a H to a E to an L, and every time this changes, the steps will increase, etc. So you'll see now how it's going to work. Okay, so that's my letter that I need to crypt, and that is derived from this specific word, 28. You'll see there, it's B28. There it is. So that's the initial word, hello word with spaces, and that will then clean it to B28. Okay, and then the encrypted letter is B24, and then it will display the gibberish or the encrypted word in column B from row 31. So if you go there, it will display it then from B31 and downwards. Now, if I have a long sentence, obviously it will go much further down. So in this case, I've only made provision for a couple of encrypted, 14 encrypted letters. So anything, a word or a sentence longer than that, it will just keep on encrypting it. We can obviously encrypt it horizontal, but from now I'm just encrypting it vertically. That's just the preference. That's up to you. Anyway, and this is just script that make that work. And then within the script, I've also built in the stepping of the rotors as I did previously. So rotor B6, C6, and D6, and rotor 1 will increase. Rotor 2 will increase with rotor 1 every 26 times, and it will move one place, and rotor 3 will increase with rotor 2 every 26 times, it will increase by 1. So this is the little script or macro that lies behind this whole dashboard. Okay, so it's going to run. So we've just built in a button, and that's obviously this button is now linked to that specific script. Because if you look at it, you'll see the script is in sheet 11, which is called encrypt. And if I go in here, you'll see this sheet is called encrypt. So this button is now linked to this because of where I've located it. You'll see the others. If I click on that, that would have 0, 0. So this code. So if you want to add code into any of these other sheets, you just click on it and open it, and then you can just put in the code in there. So that's select. To get there, it's just basically I think it's Alt and F11, if I'm correct. Is in my keyboard, I press Alt and F11, and then this will come up. Okay, so here we go. So let's have a look quickly. Let's minimize that. So it's going to run everything very, very quickly. So just have a look. As I said, what's going to happen now is that it will encrypt H at 0 rotors, and it will put that P now in here. Then it will go to E, and one step further, E will encrypt to whatever letter, and that encrypted letter will come in there, etc., etc. So okay. So remember, it's hello world. So that's the little two words that I want to encrypt. Okay. So let's click button, and you see it has now the last. It says router 1 has 10 steps. So 1. So from H to E would be 1. From E to L will be 2. From L to L will be 3. From L to O will be 4. From O to W will be 5. From W to O will be 6. 6 to 7. 7 to 8. 8 to 9. 9 to 10. Okay, so it has now step 1, and it will end. So remember where it started with H. Okay. It will end with the last word in our sentence, or last letter in our word or our sentence. So it always starts with the first letter of our word or sentence, and it runs until the last letter in our word or sentence. Okay. So if you remember, H encrypted to P with 0 rotors steps, and D now encrypts to L with 10 steps. And so it encrypts to here. You can see there's the 10 letters that it encrypts this word. So this is the gibberish that comes out. Okay, so let's take this, and I'm going to copy it in here. It's just for your, so H encrypted to P, E encrypted to F, L encrypted to X, L encrypted to K. See, that's an important characteristics of the Enigma machine, is the stepping. If it wasn't, if there were no stepping, L would be X and L would be X. So if you knew L would be X, then this one would also be X. But because of the stepping, you don't know what the second L and even the third L would be. Otherwise, you'll have X there, and X there. So that's the importance of the stepping mechanism. So H again becomes P, E becomes L, L becomes X, L becomes K, O becomes S, W became T, O again becomes W, R becomes N, L becomes H, D becomes O. Okay, so you see O doesn't encrypt to itself. None of these letters can encrypt to itself. So that's one thing, and then also there can't be a double or triple encryption of the same letter. So those are all characteristics of, and there's your stepping, there's your 10 steps that took place. Okay. So now obviously important is that, okay, so we've encrypted the word or the sentence, hello world, we've encrypted to this. So this will obviously be sent out by Morse code to whoever, and they will receive it, and they now need to decipher this back to hello world. Okay, so let's see if this works. So we're going to type in there P, F, X, K, S, T, W, N, H, O. Okay, so now you get this via this encrypted gibberish. You get it via Morse code, and you obviously need to decipher it to understand what the original message is. So we type in P, F, K, X, K, S, T. Yeah, so you would never say this means hello world. Huh? Okay, so let's take that out. Now, important again, I must reset it. So that becomes 0. And my initial one is P, so I need to change that to a P. Where's my P? There's my P. And you see the P will encrypt to H, which is hello world. Okay, so in reverse, everything is the same. Remember, I have it back to the original settings. I press button, and there we go. Hello world. Voila. Then it deciphers it back to its original, which is, oops, I want to keep it pink, yellow. I want to keep it, and there we go. So H encrypted to P, P encrypted back to H, E encrypted to F, F encrypted back to E, L encrypted to X, etc., etc. But obviously it's assumed, or it's based on that we have exactly the same settings. So let's quickly do the following. So this is its encryption with these specific settings. So let's go back to hello world here. Hello world. Okay. So let's go back to hello world. Make sure this is H and rotors are 0. But let's, for argument's sake, change the plugboard. So I'm just going to change 1. So let's change this. Now let's see what is not here. A C. I don't see a C anywhere. Do you see a C? I don't see. So let's go. Oh, why doesn't it want to go C? Can I override it? Oops. Sorry, let me just quickly go and sort this out now. Data. Data validation list. There it is. G. Okay. So why is it doing that? It's not supposed to do that. Okay, let's quickly, sorry, let's go there. Why is it doing that now? Data and data validation list. It's because these things are now over this one. Okay, so let's quickly, sorry, to see what happened, I've put this now over the data validation. Sorry, so let me just quickly take this one, keywords, and I'm just going to copy this into here. Okay, I'm going to copy it into, come on. You see, it's so easy to make these mistakes. So what I'm going to do is going to do data valuation, data and data validation, and I'm going to just do this one. And there it go. And there we go. It should be full now. So let's just drag this down there. Yeah, I need to redo all of them. So let me just quickly copy and paste this. Sorry for this. Put it in there. And let's just draw this, and then I will just make sure all these ones, yep. And that would be O, and come on, be O, O, W, Q, Y, Y, S, U, U, M. Why am I missing something now? M. Did I miss something? So I'll check now. M. Yeah, S. I've got that would be O. So I missed the R. So we'll just make the R at the bottom. Let's just cut that one there and paste it in here. And then take this one, cut, put that one up. Z. X, Y, Z. And that becomes an R. Okay, and I'm going to make, okay, let's keep that for now. So that becomes an I. You see it says duplicate. So H is obviously, there's many H's there. So that's why it's duplicate. So it's not symmetric. So that becomes I. That becomes G. That becomes E. That becomes K. That becomes L. That becomes B. That becomes, where am I missing now? D, M to B. Ay. M to B, U to L. Trying to be in a hurry now. S to K. Y to J. That's what the one that I missed. So it's I, J, E, J, K, L, B, D. And this becomes an A. And this was, let's make that C. And H. Let's leave it. Okay, so it's all good. So now you see the H. So let's run it. 0, 0, 0. Let's hello word. 10 again, it ends. So now it encrypted too. Now it encrypted too. Hey, come on. It encrypted too. N. So, so with that change in the plugboard, so let's change C. Let's change this to router 2 and make that 0 again and make that a H again. Remember, I must always go back to the original settings, H and 0, because I want to touch hello word. So all I've done now is I changed that. So let's run it. And now it encrypted to this. So H initially encrypted to P, now it then encrypted to N when we change the plugboard. When we change the router setting, it changed F. You can see every time. So interesting, O is kept on WWW, then the S's. So some of these repeats. Let's quickly change the set beginning value of router 1. In this case, let's make that S. Let's go back to H. And let's make back to 0. And let's run, make sure everything is, let's run. Now it encrypts to this. So let's put that there. So you'll see what happens is it encrypts every time to something. It's interesting that S stays, the O stays the same. And here it stays the same. The rest continuously changes. So that's interesting. I think that's how they eventually solved it. They just ran just arbitrary stuff. And what happened is that these anomalies or interesting behavior came to light, and they obviously use this to solve it. Okay, so let's change it in totality. Let's change everything. So I'm going to go back to come on. I'm going to go back to 0 steps, and I'm going to go back to H. Okay, so let's change one or two things here. So let's make this S. Let's see what letter is not in here. Is there P? No, P is fine. And K. We've got a G, R, T. Say we've got a T. Now we don't have a T. So I've changed that. So that's a significant change. Now we can't leave these ones. Can we leave this one? Yeah, we can do that one. Let's leave them out. Let's make that router 4, 5. And let's make this router 1. Let's make this Q, H, and Z. That's also interesting. The Germans, in one of the mistakes that they made, they kept these routers starting with ABC every day. So H now goes again to P. That's interesting. Let's go H. And let's run it. So I've changed all these things, and let's run it. And then let's copy it in there. So you can see now it changed all of the stuff. So if you only change one or two variables or settings, then in many cases some of these things will stay the same. But here we changed everything. So E becomes I, L also becomes I. That's interesting as well. There's two W's. L becomes W, D becomes W. That's also interesting. Anyway, so you can see there's, what did they say? 150 million. 150 million. So hello world can encrypt to 150 million such gibberish. So you can imagine it will go on and on and on and on and on. But anyway, yeah, so we can encrypt now a whole word or a whole sentence. We can now encrypt based on our settings. Okay? And I said, this is my dashboard. You'll see it is now linked. All of these ones are linked. You see there's router 4, 5, and 1. Router 4, 5, 1, Q, H, and Z. Q, H, and Z. There's my plugboard, the steps, etc., etc. So you can get an idea of why this is was such a feared machine, because of its encryption possibilities and the difficulties. But I said, if you run a number of these ad hocly, you start to see some trends, and it's those trends that they use to actually build or to try to decipher the Enigma machine, because of those inherent trends that you can then mathematically model. And they build the bomb with that. Now, I'm not going to even try to build the bomb, because I wouldn't even know where to start with. Well, maybe someday it's something to think about, because the bomb is basically, I think, 36 individual enigmas that work together, etc., etc. Anyway, maybe something in the future that one can look at. Anyway, there's the Enigma machine in all its glory, in its full in its full sense. Powerful little tool that the Germans used. Anyway, okay. Well, I'm happily if anybody is looking for one, I'm happy to forward this to you. Just send me a message with your email address, and I said I'll happily forward the spreadsheet to you. If you want to play on it and work on it and see if you want to make it prettier and expand on it and whatever you want to do, I'm happy to make this available. Okay, so with that said, and again, please remember to like and subscribe and share this channel. Let's grow the channel together. Let's make it happen. I really appreciate your support. And with that said, I'll see you on the other side.